Why you look stressed out? Anyway, welcome to Idiot Sports Talk. I'm Ezra.
I'm Joel.
And we're going to talk about the trade deadline, which is coming up fast. Friday, right?
Thursday.
Midnight?
No, like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, something like that.
You sure it's not Friday? Anyway, so it's this end of this week.
Yes.
I think it's Friday, but you said Thursday. But it is what it is.
Slap the shit out of you.
Since you're a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
And since they've been in a lot of trade rumors.
As usual.
Let's start off with the Knicks. Okay, they want to upgrade the point guard position, which they should upgrade every position besides Carmelo Anthony. The number one name throughout this year has been Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry, yes. Yeah, basically, I was just reading on the phone. I wasn't, sexting or anything. I was just looking at rumors. The trade deadline is Thursday. Thank you, bitch. Kyle Lowry is in play. From what I hear, or from what I'm reading, they don't think he's too available. They're also looking at Jeff Teague from Atlanta.
Yeah, I just read a three-way trade.
Yeah, which I'm not too about Jeff Teague.
Because it gets into their
2015 salary cap. I'm not a big fan of his game either. He's better than Felton, but who isn't better than Felton, right? Felton might be the worst starting point guard in the NBA. So, but I don't know. I think Teague could look like Felton a little bit.
So if you don't think you can get Lowry or, you don't want Jeff Teague, you want to go on the cheaper route to try to make the playoffs this year?
No. I mean, I would like to make the playoffs because they don't have a pick. So it's not like,
Well, I'm saying like a cheaper route like Andre Miller.
Yeah, Andre Miller would help.
That's not going to cost you a first-round pick. Or Tim Hardaway Jr., who's
and
all of a sudden he's the new untouchable for the Knicks.
He's this year's untouchable until he isn't. Until he's averaging 11 points.
There's a guy.
What about
I tweeted this the other day. This guy's working out for teams, and the Knicks are not interested in him. The guy who's to be the backup point guard for the Mavericks, the French dude.
Oh, Roddy Beaubois.
Beaubois. He's a fast dude. He's got a lot of potential. He's got to be better than Raymond Felton or anybody really on that team, the point guard position.
Yeah, probably.
How come you don't take a chance on that? Yeah, you don't have to trade for anybody.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for veteran leadership, Andre Miller's right there.
Yeah, and I think Miller would be all right, would listen to Miller, too. I think he respects Andre Miller. So, and Miller gets other people involved as well.
And I know that, Knicks fans and the brass wants that name. Let's say you get Kyle Lowry. He's going to become a free agent. Let's say you give up, Tim Hardaway or Shumpert, that first-round pick, whatever that. And he leaves. Then, even if he doesn't leave, you're forced to resign a guy who's having a great offensive season, doesn't play any defense, that's going to eat into your 15, potential free agent market.
Flexibility,
Where you got Aldridge, Rondo, and Kevin Love coming out that summer.
I don't want any of them. Maybe Love.
You don't want Aldridge either?
No. He'll be 31, give him a max deal. It's the same.
Maybe done. Well, not Rondo either?
I don't think Rondo and Melo would play well together because they both need the ball.
Their hands. I hear you. Yeah. But you still want that flexibility, don't you?
Definitely.
You want that kind of flexibility, and Kyle Lowry is just gonna. I like him. I just don't see him as one of the integral parts of a championship team.
No, but it's been proven point guards don't necessarily need to be stars to win championships either. You see, Mario Chalmers has won 2.
Yeah. Well, this guys have been like that. I hear what you're saying. Throughout
Johnson,
history,
Kenny Smith.
DJ
Armstrong. There's a lot of guys like that.
Point guards haven't really been the 1 or 2 in championship teams. Maybe you can make an argument. Tony Parker,
Chauncey Billups. Those are probably the only 2 I can think of. But Gary Payne with Miami, he wasn't the Gary Payne that we knew. Jason Kidd wasn't the Jason Kidd that we knew in Dallas. They were more role players. So you don't really need that. But I get what you're saying too. I think Lowry is good. I like Lowry. He tries on defense. He rebounds well for his position. He pushes the ball. He's good one-on-one. I would like him. I just don't want to trade a first-round pick for him.
If I'm the Knicks brass, I'll go with a cheaper route. And not the non-sexy name, veteran help, Andre Miller.
I would prefer that over those 2 too.
So that's us. The most active name throughout this whole thing and team is the 76ers.
Evan Turner.
And Thaddeus
Young. And Spencer Hawes. They're trying to
all three of them. They're trying to stack up on that.
That's all they want. Picks.
They want to rebuild. And you know what? It's the smart way to go. Even Thaddeus Young
is what the Knicks should do.
Thaddeus Young is very underrated.
Mm-hmm. I agree. He is. He would help a team. He's one of those guys that he would go on a team and he'd be like the fourth option. But that fourth option is like way better than like.
Or he could come off the bench and give that spark.
From what I hear, the Spurs are trying for him pretty hard. They want Thaddeus Young. So if he goes to San Antonio, they would be infinitely better. I would say they would just be way better than.
That'll upgrade that bench big time too.
Yeah. And Kawhi Leonard is. I wasn't. I think a lot of times we put too much into playoff performances and try and just think that's going to translate into the season. We saw it with Shumpert, who had a few good moments against Indiana. I don't think he had a good series altogether. We had a few good moments. Everybody thought he was going to have a great season. Didn't happen. Kawhi Leonard, who I felt was the MVP for San Antonio in that from the finals, everybody thought he was going to blow up. He's not having the his injury plague season. I think Thaddeus Young would do what.
Like I said, Leonard, he could come off the bench on that team, or you put Duncan already plays the 5. He plays the 4. You have Splitter come off the bench. Whatever. Anyway, where Greg wants to play, he could do that. That's a great value.
I hear Milwaukee is really just trying to make some moves. They're trying to trade Ilyasova. He's another guy who I think would help teams. And the 3 teams I hear the most are the 4 teams rather. We just said 2: Philly and Milwaukee. The other 2 are the Lakers and Charlotte. From what I hear, Charlotte wants to make a move really bad
for Evan Turner.
And the Lakers, they want to get something for Gasol before.
I'm not sold. Evan Turner going to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like I said, this is somewhat of a rebuilding team. I don't know.
They have 3 picks, right? First round, 2. They have a lot of first round picks.
Yeah, they have a lot of first round picks, but he's going to become a restricted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to command between 9 to 11 million.
I would say.
With the year he's having. So then you're going to have Al Jefferson, Evan Turner.
Kemba Walker.
Eating that money. No, I'm just talking about those guys eating that money, the cap room.
Well, Jefferson is only 2 years, though, right? Jefferson's a free agent.
No, he signed a 3-year deal.
3 year? Oh, I thought it was 2.
3-4-year
deal. Who signed 2? Millsap signed it 2.
Yeah, we're in Atlanta Falcons.
Great. That might be the best contract in the NBA. Yeah.
And I don't like those guys. I guess they might have to make those kind of moves because no big free agent is ever going to the Charlotte Bobcats. And
that's the thing. Nobody's going to go there, man.
Nobody's going. I guess if it allows, I guess with those low salaries, because it's not like Al Jefferson's got an incredible, huge contract. He does have a max deal. And I guess if you get Evan Turner at that range, and you have the ability to sign a third guy to $11 million.
You got a nice team.
You got a nice little team. It's not a championship team, but then that's always the goal. But that'll be an exciting team and something the Charlotte Bobcats sorely need.
Yeah, in that town, that city, that franchise.
Ever since they've come back.
Ever since Larry Brown left. I thought they were on their way when they had Wallace and Chandler and Felton. Damn, that sounds familiar. But, Larry Brown left, Felton left, they had Augustine, they traded Wallace, they blew it up, and they haven't been the same. They've just failed at drafting players. That's all. Adam Morris.
Like I said, I was on the fence a little bit. If it works out for a third guy, I approve this trade. If it works out like that. If it doesn't, I'm going to go against it because the worst thing in the NBA, I've said this a million times, is be mediocre. You don't want to be the 8th, 7th, 6th seed for years to come. That's the worst position to be. You'd rather be a terrible team like the 76ers to rebuild and have a chance to draft a superstar than get a middle round pick and just suffer for years to come.
The Sixers might be really good really fast, too. If they get a pick for Turner and a pick for Hawes and a pick for Young, they're going to win like maybe 6 games the rest of the year. But they're going to have a ton of picks. MC Dub is a stud already, the point guard. Is really good. And they might have the first and they have New Orleans pick, too, right? And New Orleans may not make the playoffs.
And speaking about New Orleans... Eric Gordon is also in the...
That's the Milwaukee thing.
That's the Milwaukee thing. Milwaukee... Why would you make this move? I've always been a big fan of Eric Gordon. But, injuries have taken toll on him. He's not the same player that he was supposed to be.
Definitely not the same player.
He's not the same guy. And
a team that... if I don't think a huge move that's going to, change the whole, It's not going to be like a big seismic shift in the NBA. I don't think any of those trades are going to happen. But if it is, I think Phoenix has a shot at doing it. They have 4 first-round picks. 3 of them are protected, but 4 first-round picks, and they have a ton of cap room, too. So I think, and they're winning. They need a big man. So, it might be one of those things where, like, say, what I've always wanted as a Knicks fan, I want the Knicks to trade Melo and then trade Chandler to Phoenix for some picks. That's what I want. It's not going to happen, but that's what I want. But they need a big man, and I could see them making a trade for a big man if a big man becomes available.
Should they make the trade for Paul Gasol?
Yes, I would do it.
And I agree.
I would do it.
And another trade
not a lot to lose.
that you spoke off camera, this team should make this trade.
OKC and Aflalo? Yeah.
And they're looking for a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Falo's averaging 20 points this year. Obviously, he's not going to do that with a Thunder.
No, but he'd be a fantastic 3rd, 4th option on that team. And they have the contract to match. They have trade exceptions. They have young guys who would attract Orlando. I would do what I can to see if I can get Aflalo on OKC. That would make
Westbrook, Aflalo,
Durant,
Ibaka.
Great.
And you get rid of Perkins in your trade suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Perkins needs to go.
He has to go.
Yeah, he's.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's not in the league anymore once his contract is up. Personally, I think he's.
I think he'll still be in
the league.
He got
6 fouls.
He can have that Jason Collins career or Jared Collins career. Towards the end they were just 6 fouls.
Yeah,
that's all they were.
I think that's what he is now, though, personally. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But yeah, man, I if I were OKC, I would do, even if it meant a pick, I would do what I can to.
And I think the Lakers plan. They're not going to re-sign Paul Gasol.
So they're trying to get what they can from him, right?
You got to get something. You got if you can get even a protected 1st-round pick, you take it because they need all the talent they can muster up for the next couple years.
Yeah, they're going to be bad next year too. So
they probably will be bad next year because they're gearing up for 2015 also.
Unless they get Melo, but I don't see that happening. So
I don't see that happening either. I see Melo staying in New York, but that's a different video, different day.
What do you expect second half of the season?
Well, not much. I think who's going to solidify themselves as championship contenders. I got 4 teams, man.
Okay.
You got the Heat, Pacers, Thunder. No, I'm gonna put 5. Excuse me. Spurs. I still think you got to put the Spurs in. They were a couple free throws away from a championship last year.
Tim Duncan missed layup too.
The 5th team, I got the Clippers.
You think Clippers are a title team?
Blake Griffin, he's showing people, he's gaining people's respect. People paying attention. When Chris Paul went down, this team did not lose itself.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin, I've been saying it for years, is a baller. Okay, people just talking about he's just a dunker. Look what this team did without Chris Paul, who a lot of people were saying, MVP candidate earlier this year. The Clippers, I think the same effect with the Thunder. Kevin Westbrook went down, Durant went off. The team has gotten better with his absence.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Clippers.
I think the biggest problem with the Clippers, and it may not hurt because come to think of it, OKC is the same way. They don't have a lot of punch on the wings that can, like, guys that can create or score, which is why I think OKC should go for a Aflalo because OKC has the same problem. But I don't think they have enough guys who can create for themselves, and I think that can come and bite them in the ass. I think if they play, let's just say they play a team like the Warriors in the 1st round, right? I think the Warriors will give them all they can handle. They may not beat the Clippers, but that's going 7. Like, it's just, it just feels like there's something about the Clippers I don't like. I don't like Portland either. But, title contenders for me, I only have 4 teams. I have the Heat, I have the Pacers, San Antonio, and OKC. I don't have any other teams. I can't include them.
And heading into the year, I said this before, I had as much as 9 teams possibly being title contenders. And one of those teams you just said, the Warriors. I think this team is more constructed for the playoffs than the regular season.
I agree. I think Mark Jackson's on a hot seat, too. This surprised me. They're 2nd in the league in isolations. They ISO more than every other team in the league except one.
Which is probably the Thunder.
The Knicks.
Well, the Knicks
isolate more than any other team in the league. It might be the other way around. But they're top 2 in the NBA in isolations. That surprised me, considering
all the
they have
players they got.
Iggy who can move, who's a facilitator. David Lee was a great facilitator out the 4, and Curry. You know, I don't think Jackson uses that offense
The way it should be.
the best of their ability. Their defense has gotten way better though, but I think they need to be a little bit more freewheeling, freestyling, or looser. I guess not freestyle, looser on the offensive end. I think they use isolation mismatch too much, and I think it slows them down.
Okay, but I just want to make the point. They're going to be very dangerous. I think they're going to be very dangerous in the playoffs.
They're the best starting 5 in the NBA. I think.
When healthy, that's another thing.
They're
during the regular season, it's just they have health issues and all. That's the biggest question with the Warriors heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, Iggy, Bogut, Curry, they're all injury prone. So.
Yeah, they're all injury prone. And is the chemistry going to be there when come playoff time? But this team, it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up in the Western Conference Finals or something like that. This team is very deep.
Yeah, they can, if they gel, they can beat anybody.
Yeah, they definitely can.
I think Jordan Crawford is really good for their bench too. I think he's a really good, and if Harrison Barnes just wakes up, yeah.
What, on top of our heads, what player or what team can make the biggest impact with this trade deadline?
OKC and San Antonio, I think, are the 2 teams that just come. Especially OKC has to. If OKC somehow were to get Ilyasova or a Flalo, right, just a guy who can shoot the ball, because they need. If OKC got a Flalo, I would go so far as to say they're gonna win the title. That's how much I believe, because I think they're a title contender already. Mm-hmm. I think a Flalo just pushes them up. He's a better Wes Matthews to me. I think Wes Matthews is really underrated in Portland. I think he's a really good player. I think a Flalo is a level slightly above Wes, and he would just make that team way better, man. I think OKC is the team that needs to make a trade, to win a title. Miami too, though. Miami, I could see why teams in like Brooklyn trying to go for Jared Jack, or I don't believe in Indiana either. As far I think they're a title contender, but I don't think they're like they're gonna get swept by.
Yeah, a lot of people got them, already beating Miami.
Yeah,
I'm not there yet. It's the big 3. People still forget about Chris Bosh. Mm-hmm. How do you still forget about this guy?
Yeah. They don't run any plays for him. He's just.
I was reading somewhere that he's given up the mentality of being a number 1 option and stuff like that. And there was a comment that one of the readers left. He's the James Worthy of that Miami Heat team.
That makes sense.
He's the 3rd guy who's a Hall of Famer on a stacked team.
Yeah, who's gonna score 15.
Score 15.
If he was on like another team, he'd be getting 22, 23 a game.
And every playoffs, the last 2 it's not surprising to me anymore. He's proven it to me. The last 2 playoffs, when it comes that time, he puts in the dirty work.
Yeah,
he gets the damn rebounds. He plays defense, and he hits the big shot.
Yeah. He
creates that space.
Do you think maybe for this postseason run, Wade needs to be the Worthy?
I think it might. At some parts early in the season, it's starting to look like that. Like, Bosh is starting to become the number 2 guy.
Yeah.
But you got those 3 talented guys. That's okay. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's fine. I think they could still win if Bosh is the number 2 guy and Wade. It's not like Wade is taking a step back. His health and all that stuff. But if you look at if you put his numbers on any other player, besides the big superstars, you'll be like, oh shit, this guy is fucking.
Yeah, he's really.
This guy should be an all-star.
But Wade doesn't, and he's finished.
Yeah.
People say Wade is finished. I think Wade's days as an elite NBA player probably over, but the guy's still an all-star, man.
Like, if the Knicks had a player, if they had a John Doe that was doing the same thing that this broken down Wade would be doing, they'll be a 4th seed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
It's just Wade is. Yeah, he may not be the best shooting guard, arguably, in the game anymore. You can make that argument back in the day.
He could be, still. Well, Harden?
I think I said that last year when you killed me, even though, I was right.
You weren't.
Yeah, I was right.
Anyway. That's like 6 years for Kobe last year.
That just talks about how weak the shooting guard position. I was read that somewhere, too. The shooting guard position has declined big time.
Whatever. It's Kobe, man. Stop fucking hating on Kobe.
Oh man, I don't hate on Kobe. You know what I'm saying? He's just
Yo, like the page, son. Before we get crazy with this Kobe, before I smack the shit out of this guy.
Fuck you.
Before I smack fire out of this
James
guy.
Harden, the best shooting guard in the league. How many points Kobe's averaging this year? Idiot
how many
sports
points has
talk.
Harden giving up this year?
So?
Terrible defender. I give Harden 30 right now.
You know, so what? So is Kevin Love, and everybody be slopping him off.
Yeah, who I slap? Like the page, y'all.
Idiot sports talk, man.
Get my other,
Leave those comments.
Left side, man.
Show it off. Show it off. Flex a little bit.
For what?
$900 turtleneck, yo. This
Lana!
It's really 12. This is by starter. Do you anybody else buy a starter? You can't even see the logo.
Fruit of the Loom.